It is Anime April, and that is so cool, but I'm not done watching Hunter x Hunter, yet here I am doing a Kirblog. Okay, alright, I'm not going to go into a whole screamo.
I was really hoping you would
Maximum the Hormone, not that they did that.
Do a different song, but I don't think you've heard it yet.
Oh, no, I'm still making... Well, I haven't done Departure yet, because I wanted to save that until, like, the end.
One. No, but you might change it once you watch the ending for the Chimera Ant arc.
There's not enough in the world to do this. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. It's still Anime April. Brittany Lauda is currently visiting La La Land.
Hello.
Yeah, Brittany Lauda, voice of many animes. Currently, you can hear her as Ichigo on Darling in the Franxx, amongst other things.
Yeah, if you watch simul dubs, you can hear me as...
From Fundamental Xiaon.
Hachisu in Basilisk, the Oka Scrolls, and you can hear me as Lisa in Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody, as well as Ichigo.
Yeah, lots of things. It's so good. She's visiting for a little while here in Los Angeles, and I figured I'm in the middle of doing Anime April again, and this is probably going to be coming out a while after you've already left back for Texas again, but I wanted to do sort of a check-in Kirblog. I somehow, for some reason, thought that by this time... last year when we did the Hunter x Hunter, the quote-unquote Hunter halfway Hunter, except not even close to being halfway, Kirblog, I said, oh yeah, we'll come back and do a second one that will end it, and I'm in the middle of recording the Chimera Ant arc, of course. Those of you who don't know, I'm voicing Shaiapouf right now, and also watching it as it airs on Toonami, which is interesting. But Brittany, I mean, long story short, you've been a long-time fan of this series.
Yeah, I'm not caught up to date with the manga right now because I told myself that it would be my treat once I finished my taxes. And
so
while
you still haven't done that.
I finished my taxes, my tax accountant hasn't gotten back to me.
Okay, all right.
So, just in time for him to go on hiatus again.
You're being good. You're being fair. But, you know, well, either way. So I've been, of course, following it in the last year or so. So for those of you who don't know, and I'll have a link to it at the end, myself and Brittany and Matt Shipman did a Hunter x Hunter Kirblog of basically...
Matt's not here this time.
Yes, sadly. Sorry, Matt. I know. Love you if you hear this. Next time, I promise, when I like actually finish the whole thing. But I wanted to do just a little quick check-in one because, of course, not only have I gotten to work on it, but I've been continuing to follow it.
And now you're starting to get into the arc that everyone's always like, this is the best arc.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I've seen, like, the characters from, like, a lot of these different sections throughout and everything.
And you saw through what I believe is, like, one of the weaker arcs.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, so when we last left our heroes, I was still in the middle of watching the York New City arc.
Which is one of my favorites.
Yes. And
that's what I actually just got up to with, I'm showing Melly Grant, Rachel Thompson, and Maddie Morris Hunter x Hunter for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's Matt's first time watching some of that animated.
Okay.
He read it all. And he watched the Hunter exam, and then he watched the Chimera Ant arc.
Okay. I'm going to put you in the spot. Are you guys watching the dub?
We have watched a little bit of the dub.
Okay.
But because this is right when they're learning about Nen.
Okay.
We've decided to watch the subtitles, so we get all the subtitles when, like, they're explaining things.
Fair enough.
So nothing goes over people's heads. Plus, like, every so often you see someone check their phone, and it's like, are you actually listening to what they're saying? Are you actually reading?
Yeah.
You have to go back and read it.
You know.
But yeah, since they're just learning Nen and everything, I'm mostly, like, putting the sub on so there's nothing lost.
Well, at the time when we did the last Kirblog, I had finished the 1999 series, which I have not watched the OVAs that accompanied that because they were because those were not dubbed, and they finished up the rest of the York New City arc. But I watched all of the 1999 series as it was, and then I continued to watch the rest of the 2011 series, which I can't believe how old that already is by now. That is bizarre to me. But I finished up York New City, and I absolutely love that arc.
Yeah, I think it's really good, and one of the biggest reasons I want to, and I own all of the DVDs as they come out, one of the biggest reasons I want to pop that sucker in and watch it is because I'm really excited to hear Robbie as Crollo.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he has a gentleness to his voice that is very fitting for the character. Like, at first I was like, really, Robbie is Crollo? But then, like, rewatching it now subbed, I'm like, oh no, this character needs, like, a soft, gentle, kind voice.
And semi-creepy kind of tone to him.
Yeah, because that like just really sells the character.
Yeah, the Phantom Troop are really, really fantastic villains. Kurapika, who I would say of like the main four, I think was probably my favorite in terms of just like him being cool and interesting, and like he had a nice range of like he wasn't always serious all the time. He had some like fun, like not like he's not like, as like comedic as like Leorio or even like the two boys or anything, but he had a really nice like range of emotion and development. His powers are really cool.
One thing I noticed while watching the sub version. Again, is how Melody says how he has like this, like his heartbeat is like a very like a song of rage. Mm-hmm. It's very angry.
Yeah.
And then his theme song encapsulates that really well.
Yeah.
It's like this like all over the place, like heavy, like sporadic song that I just feel like so. Like when you hear it, you're like, yeah, I could hear the rage in this. I can hear the angst.
Yeah.
And whenever that kicked in, I thought it was so badass.
Yeah.
So that was something I picked up as a music choice going through it a second time. That I'm like, this is like, it's a smaller detail that I think really sells it.
Yeah, I feel there's probably maybe some unconscious bias of some kind in the fact that, of course, we're both New Yorkers and we spent much time in Manhattan throughout school and work and things, and it's certainly a cool like mystery kind of, and then like crazy shit happening all the time in what is clearly a New York City type of area and everything. Yeah. Not subtle at all. I mean, that's certainly, I love that kind of stuff. I mean, it's almost kind of like anime characters in like a Marvel comic when you think about it with that kind of scenario. But there was a great sense of like, funnily enough, it actually kind of reminds me, even though like I actually just went through, and Amy and I recently, we binged through all of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Me too. I watched it for the first time recently as well.
Still one of my favorite shows, of course.
Cliff just came over one day and just put on an episode and we just like sat there and watched it. Yeah, that's basically what happened.
Cliff Chapin, of course, is also a huge Yu Yu Hakusho fan as well. Shout out to him.
And to repay him for that, I bought him the first volume of Hunter x Hunter's manga for Christmas.
But weirdly enough, it actually doesn't quite remind me of any particular Yu Yu Hakusho arc. There's weirdly things about its execution that remind me a bit of the early Namekian stuff with DBZ, where everybody's kind of all like sneaking around from location to location. Everybody's kind of looking for each other or looking for the MacGuffins of whatever's related to what's going on. It was that same, because I compared to that because it incited that same kind of like tension and like excitement of like all these different kind of groups of characters being like dispersed around this big area and everything.
Honestly, I thought that the beginning of the psychic arc in Yu Yu Hakusho, like
little bit, with the territory guys.
Yeah, with the territory guys. That reminds me of Nen.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, because you're talking about really complex powers with like that have to meet certain circumstances. Yeah. So when I watched that, I was like, oh, I feel like this is like where Togashi started playing with the idea of like, what if I made people have these really particular powers?
Yeah.
And Kurapika is one of those people where it's like, yeah, he has these really OP seeming powers, but like you have to meet all certain circumstances for them to actually be as overpowered as you think. And as where you leave off in the New York, you don't even find out all of his powers yet.
Yeah. Or even we don't even still. I don't know what Leorio's powers technically are. Let's kind of a bait and switch with that.
With the York New Arc as well, like there's certain things that you're told about powers for different characters that you don't actually see the full circumstance of until later on. Which I think is cool because it paints it as like, wow, those people are really OP, but then once you find out whatever these characters like, oh, they actually have like this negative effect, or like, oh, it doesn't actually work in that way, and it really shows how fleshed out Togashi made these characters. Because when certain characters are supposed to look OP, obviously he frames it in a way to make them look OP, and then like it's like, well, actually my power only does this.
Yeah, no, because I mean, having got to skip too ahead, but having seen like some of the more like complex powers in terms of what their rules are. Because you think, like, chains are kind of like a semi-basic, like maybe a little bit more stylized, but still kind of a basic power. But, like, what he does with them, and, like, I still don't fully, admittedly, comprehend, like, every aspect of how the Nen stuff is, but, like, it's very consistent with itself, the rule set of how it goes and everything.
And all of the
Phantom
Phantom Troop members thought that he could do so much more with those chains than he could.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, too, I don't want to harp too much on this, because I know we even talked a bit about this in the last one, and I feel like I still kind of want to save up my full thoughts for this when I, like, really catch up with everything, but a part that I did enjoy Gon and Killua in was actually their whole quest to obtain the copy of the Greed Island video game. And actually kind of transitioning into the next part, I'm going to go ahead and say, flat out, and I don't know how much shit I'll really get for this, but I found the prospect of them trying to get the copy of Greed Island was infinitely more interesting than them actually going to Greed Island and any of the things that happen in it.
With Greed Island, there's some things I really like about Greed Island. I think the concept of Greed Island, I think
conceptually is fantastic.
I think some of the bait and switches they pull with Greed Island are really interesting. I think Killua has one of the cutest lines ever when Gon's like, I want you to come and meet my dad, and, like, I want to introduce him to my best friend Killua. The first thing I want to do, like, that broke my heart. But then, like, I didn't really like the Bomber as a villain. And there was just a lot of moments that I found dull or dry. The volleyball match was really cool.
The volleyball match was something I was, like, told ahead of time. Like, this, it's, like, one of the coolest parts of the entire whole of Hunter x Hunter.
That was really cool. And there's some of my favorite Hisoka moments in the Greed Island arc.
I was very glad Hisoka got to be, like, a major fixture in this arc.
I love seeing Biscuit thirsty for Hisoka, and I love seeing Hisoka thirsty for
violence. Biscuit, I think, was overall the thing that, because actually, even though, like I said, I still don't, like, fully remember absolutely every single facet of how the Nen stuff works, like, she made it very entertaining, because I feel like she was kind of, like, in a weird way, almost the equivalent of, like, Genkai for these characters.
Yeah, definitely.
She's very adorable. I'm enjoying her popping back up again in Chimera Ants, not to skip ahead with that. And Phantom Troop, the kind of
that
small
was, I thought,
handful
was
of them.
Interesting.
It was good to have a couple of them in there, because we had Shalnark and Phaeton Finks, right? Which was cool. I will admit, though, weirdly enough, getting through the Bomber didn't really... I thought he was okay. Maybe I'm biased because I like Todd Habercorn's performance, and he made him maybe a little more interesting than he actually was, but I thought his power was really cool. He was, like personality-wise, he didn't have a whole lot to offer, but
Gorinu is, like, the star of that arc, like, really...
Shout out to Edward Bosco, voice of the most interesting
honestly,
character.
like, I remember being like, who does Bosco play in the show again? And I remember looking...
He's Franklin,
I'm like, but, like, more importantly, he's Gorinu. So, like, and I was like, Matt, Bosco's Gorinu. He's like, fuck!
If he ever hears this, which he won't, he'll be rolling his eyes right now.
What, he doesn't understand that Gorinu is...
No,
like,
I think just like, best? Oh yeah, that guy or whatever. No, it's...
he's like a meme.
This is the weird... Which seems to stem from the fact that, like, him and a lot of the other characters in that arc are just... They have, like, the personality of, like, pieces of paper. Like... Biscuit was just so full of personality, but, like, all these other, like, random guys, like, scattered... And the fucking card game shit. Like, I finally knew what it was like.
I do kind of, like, want to own that, though.
But I felt for the first time, and I'm somewhat of a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, at least with the first generation at minimum. But, like, I finally knew what it was like to feel like a person who knows nothing about Yu-Gi-Oh and doesn't like Yu-Gi-Oh and like happens to catch their kid like watching an episode and they're just like, this is bullshit. What even is this show?
But I also feel like Greed Island was a necessary arc. And, like, if you cut Greed Island, it wouldn't work. And I feel like partially of why Greed Island is a weaker arc is because it's sandwiched between two very strong arcs. Yeah,
for sure, yeah.
York New is fantastic, and Chimera Ant arc is what people know the show for.
Yeah, as I'm gathering.
So, like, Greed Island was, like, it didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. I guess in the grand scheme of things, I do wonder about what the in-the-moment reaction from the readers were, like, as it was first coming out, but that was so many years ago by this
right.
point.
Also, like, I feel like they probably enjoyed it more because they didn't have the Chimera Ant arc to compare it to yet. And then, like, when the Chimera Ant arc was happening, there were so many of the hiatuses going on throughout it.
Yeah. I want to save my main thoughts for the Chimera Ant arc, like, this time next year, when maybe, hopefully, I will have caught up with everything in the 2011 series.
And we're just scratching the surface with
Oh,
it,
yeah,
too.
yeah. I will say,
have
though,
you guys
like...
broken episode 100 yet on Toonami?
I don't know. Well, in airing-wise, I think we're not at 100 yet.
Okay.
But I think the most recent thing is Monto to Yuppie has been born, and, like, they've introduced, like, Shoot and Knuckle and Palm and all that. So they're getting into the meat of things, like Netero and all that.
Like, my favorite part hasn't happened yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's been interesting because I guess, to wrap this up, because this is just a little short one. So funnily enough, of course, as you guys know, I'm voicing Shaiapouf, and I'm trying to, because as I've talked about many times with other roles of mine, if I can watch stuff in Japanese ahead of time for, like, context of the story and knowing, like, where things are going, I like to do that. This has been difficult because Poof is, he's the central villain in this arc, especially with King Meruem. In fact, actually, perhaps even by the time this one goes up on my channel, perhaps King Meruem will have even premiered, and you guys, I think, will certainly like who voices him. He does a great job. I've heard a bit of him in recording. But I'm also watching it as it airs on Toonami, so I'm trying to not spoil myself, so I know, like, things that are happening within my vicinity, but I don't know, like I know about Komugi. But I don't know, like, the full extent of, like, what is the deal with her and what's happening all over the place or whatever. Right. I know I hate her a lot because of things with King, but meanwhile, it's funny because I'm just following all this stuff with the other Chimera Ant characters and, like, Kite, of course, who was, shot down in his prime. And, all these, like, villains and everything, this whole, like, society of villains, which, to me, they're almost like the stars of the show right now.
Yeah, no, they are. I think some of the music is fantastic, and I like how they tie it in. Like, Poof is the one playing it a lot of the time. Yeah,
he's the violinist of. He's doing all the BGM of this show. Oh, it's beautiful, yes. Oh, my king.
I have a bunch of songs from the Chimera Ant arc on my, like, workout playlist.
Oh, good. Yeah, when you're punching ants in the face and making their heads explode. I'm certainly curious moving forward. I'm very much enjoying this arc as it is. By this time next year, I hope that I'll have caught up with the end of this one and my goal is once I finish. I might have even said this in the last one. When I finish the 2011 series, like watching it, I plan on getting into the manga where the cutoff point is. I did that with Rurouni Kenshin when the anime cut off, like before the final arc of that as well. So I want to do that, but and I know, of course, obviously he's gone back into a hiatus again. But good celebratory thing of Togashi getting back into doing some stuff this past year.
Yeah, I feel like he's done more Hunter x Hunter chapters this year than he has in quite a while.
A long time,
so.
Yeah, which is great.
And they've been like really like, and I haven't read the recent ones, like I said, but from what I've heard from people, they've been like outstanding chapters with lots and lots of text and lots of good content that people want.
Okay.
And when it goes into Tankobon, it like tops charts.
Okay. Yeah, so, well, I would hope so. The supporters waiting in the wings to spend all the money on that to keep him going and everything. So cool. Well, I'm trucking forward. If you guys aren't already watching it, it's the English dub is airing on Toonami, of course, every Saturday. Shaiapouf has shown up for the last couple weeks. We've got Sarah Williams as Pito and Josh Tomar as Monto to Yuppie. And perhaps, maybe even if I time this right, the weekend that you guys see this, you'll be learning the voice of King Meruem coming up soon. And shout out Ben Diskin as Knuckle.
Oh my God, he's so good.
And DC Douglas as Shoot, Karen Strassman as Palm.
Good picks.
Whole lot of really good films. Kylie Bear's Moral, which I'm excited about because, I get to fight one of the few Yu Yu Hakusho cast alumni that's in this show. So, real quick, Brittany, do you want to give any of your social media stuff?
Follow me at Brittany Lauda. I think it's VO on my Twitter, but, whatever. You can follow me on Instagram at BrieLoud or my Facebook as well.
You're on Unlocked.
I'm on Anime Unlocked, yeah. Fam, hit me up on Unlocked. I would give you my link, but this is over audio format. So.
I'll have a link to it in the description.
Yeah, that would be rad.
If any of you, I don't think I'll be doing because I have the show's not even done airing in Japan, and I've only just started watching a little bit of it. But if any of you guys are checking out Darling and the Franxx this season on Funimation simuldubs and stuff. Brittany and Matt, who both voice main characters in the show, are doing like talk-back stuff.
Yeah, we do talks after the dub episode, so usually on a Friday or a Saturday. We do them every single week, and we call them #AFranxx discussion.
Cool. And you got cute puppy Raven.
Oh yeah, Raven's always there to
Yay.
talk.
Bork.
Yeah, it's because she thinks that when we put Unlocked on, she's gonna get drunk.
Well, because you're so excited about it all the time.
Well, it's because I've opened bark boxes on it with her. So
joyous. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I'll probably have a few more this month in between animation streams and everything. I've got a couple other ones that I've got ideas for. Leave ideas in the comments. Leave your thoughts about these Hunter x Hunter arcs and episodes in the comments.
Watch Darling and the Franxx.
Do watch Darling and the Franxx. Watch Hunter x Hunter and Toonami. Watch all of the animes. Every one of them, and read the mangas and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thanks,
bye.
Keep hunting for your dreams.
Yeah, you can fly away.